It's often the case that state-sanctioned violence against individuals carried out by police officers often goes unpunished. This was true for the officers who killed Eric Garner and Tamir Rice, but a police officer who perpetuated mass rape, Daniel Holtzclaw, will actually spend his life in prison. Now, this is a difficult topic for me to discuss because I have family members personally affected by sexual assault and rape, so it's something that I've seen firsthand, the consequences of this type of conduct. And also, by talking about these types of issues, I'm afraid that I could potentially trigger PTSD for victims of rape and sexual assault. So I'm always disinclined to speak about these types of issues, but the fact of the matter is that you have to talk about it because rape is a real problem. Now, I think that this case in particular is important because it demonstrates that justice is possible, and I hope that by discussing it, this could potentially bring a little bit of solace and hope to victims of sexual assault elsewhere who did not get justice. So during a month-long trial, jurors heard from 13 women who said Holtzclaw sexually victimized them. Most of them said Holtzclaw stopped them while out on patrol, searched them for outstanding warrants, or checked to see if they were carrying drug paraphernalia, then forced himself on them. Now, his victims include a 17-year-old child and even a grandmother in her 50s. Now, although he didn't discriminate based on age, he preyed on African-American women of color in predominantly poor black neighborhoods. Every single one of his victims was a woman of color with the exception of one. So this guy probably did this thinking that he can get away with it because these are individuals who have intersectional identities that are highly marginalized. I mean, if you're African-American, you're disadvantaged a lot more than other people, but if you're an African-American woman of color, you have even more disadvantages than other individuals within your own community. So, I mean, these are people who are really disadvantaged from a societal standpoint, and it's just really frustrating that he did this because he thought that he can get away with it, because a lot of the time, unfortunately, people in positions of power do this, and they do get away with it because people in these circumstances, they don't have the resources to fight it. They don't have the time to fight it, so they just try to move on. So this guy was clearly sick. Now, CBS News explains that Holtzclaw was convicted of 18 counts involving 8 of the 13 women who actually accused him of sexual assault and rape, although he was acquitted on another 18 counts. So he was found guilty of, quote, 4 counts of first-degree rape, 1 count of second-degree rape, 6 counts of sexual battery, 4 counts of forcible sodomy, and 3 counts of procuring lewd acts. So, again, this is someone who is a twisted, corrupt, disgusting individual. Now, CBS News explains the first-degree rape convictions could have carried a life sentence, but the jury recommended 30 years on each charge and a total of 236 years in prison. Formal sentencing will take place on January 21st. The fact that justice will be served in this case doesn't erase the pain felt by the victims or assuage the psychological trauma that they're going to deal with for the rest of their lives. I mean, this is something that you don't get raped and then you're okay, like you move on. It's something that will live with you, and some people, it's just detrimental to their mental health. I mean, you live with PTSD, anxiety, panic disorder forever because of this. I mean, you can't trust other people again. I mean, it's something that has such a strong impact on the lives of victims that it's one of the worst violations of humanity. So hopefully, though, this will send a message to others in authority that you don't have the right to abuse your powers or use it over the heads of others. And furthermore, hopefully this shows that, there is hope for victims of sexual assault and rape, that if you're a victim of this, there can be justice. Even though it is often the case that you don't get justice, it is possible. So I wanted to talk about this case because it's something that is really, really important. I've never been a victim of sexual assault, but as I stated, some of my family members have, and I see the way that it impacted them, and I can never even put myself in their shoes because I can't imagine the pain and suffering that it caused, but I can see it. So I definitely sympathize with that, and it's something that is so sickening. And the fact that this guy was able to carry it out, and now he's crying about the fact that he may potentially serve 263 years, well, it just shows that he has no remorse, no regard for others, and he can't even comprehend how his actions were devastating. I mean, sure, you may spend the rest of your life in prison, but what you did to potentially 13 women, 8 of which were he was convicted for, well, they're in their own mental prison now because of you. So you ruined their lives more than you ruined your own life. So I'm glad that justice is served, and this guy is sick.